Hello. Okay, let's do another one. This one is called I Was Only Obeying Orders. Imagine yourself as a young soldier fighting a guerrilla insurrection. The enemy does not wear easily identifiable uniforms and blends into the local population, only to appear suddenly to ambush you. You spend most of your time afraid, in dread of the enemy, in fear of your sergeant, who almost seems worse because he's in your face shouting at you. You distrust your officers, the rations are bad and the weather is all wrong. You arrive in a village at dawn, no one's about, nothing but stray animals stir. You hear a gunshot, though you have no idea where it came from. Your officer and sergeant are shouting, "Fire, fire!" The world goes red, blood red. An hour later, you're standing in a pile of corpses, men, women, and children. Some weapons are found, but all the villagers are dead, and the only casualties on your side are from friendly fire. Even if the conflict was a just war, meaning that you are fighting on the side of the good guys, whatever that's supposed to mean, you have taken part in a war crime, a massacre of civilians. You could argue that in the chaos and confusion of war, you trusted your sergeant and commanding officer to make the ethical decisions, a defence that the judge might accept given the circumstances. Okay, so that's what it says there. All right, let's have a look at these other boxes. Right, so made famous during the post-World War II Nuremberg trials of Nazi war criminals, the superior orders defence is a knotty ethical dilemma. I was only following orders, really a justification for immoral actions? Okay, so what's this Nuremberg defence then? According to this book, now imagine yourself as one of the panel of judges at the Nuremberg trials, 1945 to 1946. So this is following the Second World War, where the Nazi hierarchy were put on trial to try and unpick what happened during the war. After the surrender of Germany, as Hitler, who was born in 1889 to 1945 because he shot himself, and most of his senior command had killed themselves rather than fall into Russian or Allied hands. The defendants were lower-ranking members of the Nazi war machine and civilian government. Many of them put forward the superior orders defence, stating that they were only following orders. Considering the nature and extent of Nazi crimes, would you agree with the judges who did not accept this as a legitimate defence and sentenced the guilty to death or long prison terms? So, it's really, trouble is, this is very vague, and without knowing the specifics of something, it is kind of hard to make a broad judgment. I think clearly, right at the lowest ranks, you do kind of have to follow orders, because I mean you're going to be risk being shot yourself, and actually how much agency do you have to make your own decisions? But there comes a point in the structure of an army whereby that flexibility is given to you to change events or change things that are about to happen. And I think the job of the judges is to decide where that point is, and which side of that point, whoever it is you're dealing with, falls. And without the specifics of the situations, how can me or you or anyone else say whether or not that's right? Because the whole point of a trial is to get to the specifics of things, to make a judgment based on facts. Anyway, there's one more box here. It says the Battlefield Ethics Committee. Superior orders defence has a checkered history, accepted in some cases and rejected on others. There's no ethical system that condones the taking of human life lightly. It is always wrong to kill, though there may be mitigating circumstances that make it less unethical. But does a soldier have the capacity to examine the ethics of the orders given to him and decide if he can object to them on moral grounds? Drilled for obedience, he or she is less likely to question orders, especially when the price of disobedience is appearing before a criminal court. And I would also say the flip side of that is having soldiers who have the ability to question orders given to them delays battlefield progress, which could ultimately endanger the life of their fellow soldiers and cost the results of battle. So, do you really want soldiers that are able to question what they're being told to do? I mean, I've not been in the army, so I don't know the ins and outs of things, but there are certain rules to warfare that you follow that westernized armies supposed to follow. Obviously, there's exceptions to those rules, special forces and things like that. But we're talking about, I'm assuming from what I've read, we're talking about the average soldier at the lower levels. You do kind of, as somebody in charge of them, as an officer, you need them to carry out your instructions really without thinking. So I think my thoughts on it is that it depends whereabouts in the decision-making structure you are, and it's the duty of the court to work out whereabouts within that decision structure you are, and sort of go from there. And without the facts, it's very hard to do. But yes, I think I was only obeying orders is a justified, in very general terms, a justified mitigation for a soldier. What do you think? See you again for another one.